Forces are gathering to drive Muammar Gaddafi from his last remaining strongholds.
Now there's only Tripoli and a few other towns left. That's why I urge the Libyan people that there's no going back. Going back's impossible. We have to move forward. All the patriotic, courageous and respected Libyan youth should help the people of Tripoli to carry out their duties.
Much of eastern Libya is already in opposition control, but these images, set to be filmed on Friday, show massive protests in Misurata, another western city 210 kilometers from the capital. Al Jazeera cannot independently verify this video or another said to be from Misurata that appears to show more soldiers joining the protesters' cause. Libya's head of special forces, the latest Gaddafi ally, now rallying for his removal.
I place all my expertise and capabilities at the service of the youth revolution. I urge all honest members of the special forces to rejoin their units immediately and to protect the gains of the February 17th revolution and protect the lives of the Libyan people and their property.
And this video shows exactly why Libyans need protecting. Heavily armed men drag away a limp body and stuff it into a car. Uploaded on YouTube, it also can't be verified, but is said to be filmed in Tripoli during Friday's clashes. Painting a different picture, these images, shot by Associated Press on a government-sponsored media offensive under the restrictions of Gaddafi loyalists.
Tripoli is 100% safe. There are no problems. People are going about their business. There are no problems and people are going to work.
It would seem this vision is about as useful as state television to show what's really happening in Libya, or just how much longer its under-siege leader can hang on. Most of the oil-rich East has fallen into the hands of the opposition. There is a sense of security, but it's a volatile situation. The opposition also says it has taken control of oil refineries, now operating at a minimal capacity. For people here, the most important is to retain the gains, keep the momentum, while they wait and see what happens in the west of the country. Hud Abdul Hamid, Al Jazeera, Eastern Libya.
As pro-democracy supporters gain control of cities in eastern Libya, many of Gaddafi properties have been ransacked and destroyed. Jackie Rollins gives us a glimpse into one of his so-called palaces.
Every dictator has his palaces, and Muammar Gaddafi is no exception. We toured this once sumptuous residence on the outskirts of Al-Baida, now burned and looted by local people. The Libyan leader and his guests could enjoy a covered swimming pool, a sauna and a jacuzzi, all set in landscaped gardens planted with fragrant hedges. At the end of one pathway, a heavy airtight door leads down to an underground world. A rabbit warren of staircases, reinforced doors and narrow passages. The complex appears designed to withstand an attack by unconventional weapons.
So now we're getting into the nerve centre of Gaddafi's bunker. And you can see here that he's really set up to withstand a nuclear apocalypse. He's got a whole air system down here. He's got emergency generators. You can see that he's got air fans, fire alarm. If we look over here, all the different filters, water pumps, you see. He could quite possibly survive, or he could have survived down here for several months. And it's actually really interesting as well, when you look at some of these little stickers here, it's showing the maintenance that was run. You can actually see, look, the last test run on the 14th of January this year, test run okay. So this equipment was being seriously maintained and seriously kept up to date. And it would appear that it's all the work of a Swiss company called Lua. So here we've got an American company here. This is some kind of an air filter system. You see you've got all these kind of filter fabric here, this non-woven fabric that must have been to keep toxins or whatever out. And Dwyer Instruments, Michigan City, USA.
The living quarters include 2 bathrooms with flushing toilets. This concrete underworld gives a glimpse of the kind of paranoia which must exist in Gaddafi's inner circle.
And now we seem to have a kind of back exit, or an emergency exit, if you like, this fixed ladder that will take us back up to the surface again.
Jackie Rowland, Al Jazeera in eastern Libya.
And the anti-government protests across the region are continuing. More have been held in Yemen, where the president suffered another setback as key tribal leaders announced they're backing the pro-reformers. The United Nations Security Council is currently in closed session, deliberations to consider imposing sanctions targeting the Libyan government. For more, let's cross over to Daljit Dalawal at our Washington Broadcast Center. Daljit.
Hi, Anand. Thanks very much. Now, it may take a few hours for a final vote amid reports of disagreements over a proposal to refer the crackdown in Libya to the International Criminal Court. The United Nations Secretary General has called for decisive action from the international community, and Libya's UN delegation, which has denounced Gaddafi, has backed an ICC referral. Russia's president has already warned that the Libyan authorities would face prosecution under international law if the violence does not stop. Well, for more on the UN vote, we're joined by Khan Ross, who is a British diplomat, and he joins us now from New York. So these deliberations are still going on. Will Colonel Gaddafi and his entourage care if the world votes for sanctions? Will it change anybody's behavior?
I should make clear, first of all, I'm a former British diplomat. I don't speak for the British government. The measures under discussion by the UN Security Council today are quite harsh. They may not include things like no-fly zones, and the point about ICC referral is still under debate. But even without those provisions, the resolution would be pretty firm in freezing the assets of the Gaddafi regime, banning travel and imposing an arms embargo. All of these measures would apply to certain named individuals, including all the Gaddafi family and members of the regime. So what this resolution would say is very clearly the Gaddafi regime is in total international isolation. Whether the Gaddafi is in the mood to listen to that message at the moment is something I cannot judge. But what I can say is that once passed, these measures will remain in force indefinitely.
Right, but do you think that perhaps the international community settled in a sense that, did they go for a quick fix here?
No, I don't think that's right. I mean, I think personally, I wish they'd passed a resolution like this 3 or 4 days ago. That would have sent a very firm signal to Gaddafi as the violence intensified. So they've taken a few days to consider this. But this is quite a substantive resolution. It's not a quick fix. These kind of measures are obligatory on all member states. It will set up a permanent sanctions regime on the Libyan regime, which will leave that regime in permanent isolation until the Security Council decides to lift it. There will have to be another positive vote, i.e. agreement by all the veto-holding members of the Council to lift these measures. So this is really the international community saying to this regime, you are in total isolation. That is quite severe.
But what about the probe which would refer Libya to the International Criminal Court for alleged war crimes? Why has that been contentious?
Well, I think it's contentious not because of Libya, unfortunately. I think it's contentious because of the precedent it would set for other situations of so-called internal political matters. China, India and 1 or 2 other countries seem to have a very strong predisposition against allowing the possibility of ICC referral for these kinds of situations. So I think the problem here is the precedent that this resolution might set if it did refer the situation to the ICC. But we don't yet know that this provision has failed in the negotiation. The last I heard, literally a few minutes ago, is that this is still on the table.
All right, Khan Ross, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And some breaking news coming to us now. US President Barack Obama has hinted that the time has come for the Libyan leader Colonel Gaddafi to give up power. A statement released just moments ago details a phone call between Obama and the German Chancellor Angela Merkel. He said if a leader has resorted to using force against his own people, it is time for him to leave. A statement released just moments ago, as we were saying, that phone call between the German Chancellor and the US President, saying that if somebody resorts to force, then they need to step down. Well, the United States has also imposed its own sanctions on the Libyan government through an executive order signed by President Obama. Most of those measures are financial, so let's take a look at how they would work. A list of specially designated nationals will be set up along with Gaddafi's family. It would include top Libyan officials and individuals and companies with links to the government. This will stop US individuals and companies from doing business with them. The Libyan government is said to have an estimated $32 billion in US banks, and those assets will be frozen. Financial institutions will look at transactions for possible links to anyone on the blacklist, denying them access to the international financial system. Well, for more on this, let's turn to Monica Villamizar, who is outside the White House, where a solidarity rally has been going on for the Libyan people, and that's still taking place. Monica, what sorts of things are you hearing from people who are there about what they feel about the way that the world has responded? I mean, do they think that the measures which have been outlined in the draft resolution are going to make any difference at all to this regime?
Well, Dalji, that's a very good question, and we're going to ask them directly. But before I do that, and to tell our viewers, yes, and you know, in a summary, they have been welcomed, these measures that President Obama has taken. But different rallies have come here in front of the White House to express their message to the president directly. We're here with a group of young people from the youth movement in Yemen, the Yemen Youth Movement, and we're going to interview their spokesman, Faris. Why are you here?
We're here to represent the Yemeni people who are demanding their basic rights in Yemen, to simply voice out their concerns in front of the White House. Many groups have got together in front of the White House, and all we want for the people of Yemen is to be able to express themselves peacefully without having the fear of bullets flying to their heads and their chests by the regime. That's not too much to ask of the dictators ruling the Middle East, as we see the entire movement, not just in Yemen, but Tunis, Egypt, Libya, Yemen, and the rest of the region. And that's the message that we want to get across.
You were telling me, what's the importance of the youth, young people in this movement that has spread throughout the region? What do you think that role has been?
The youth is very important because it provides the drive and the motivation for the movement, not just in one country, but the whole region, to unite and to voice out their concerns and to demand a better future.
Right, and opinions about Libya. You told me you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I want to say all the world have to do something for the Libyan people. You know, unarmed people get killed every day.